not getting a new defensive coordinator is quite shocking to me, and I'm sure to a lot of fans as well.
The NFL Combine in Indianapolis is the job interview of all job interviews.
The Cardinals have the number 3 overall draft pick. I want us to draft.
No, that's not what this team needs right now. I think if you're drafting at number 3, you can't have a miss. My draft philosophy last year, and it remains the same this year, and that is
Welcome back to the Seein Red podcast. This is episode 5. I'm your host, Cade Fredrickson. Alongside me, my co-host, Rob Fredrickson, 9-year NFL veteran, 4 years with the Arizona Cardinals. If you haven't yet, make sure you subscribe to the Seein Red podcast YouTube channel, Instagram, give that a follow, give the TikTok a follow, and X a follow as well. Pops, how are we doing today?
fantastic. Go Team USA, women's hockey team, won the gold.
Let's go, baby. What's
better than that? Yeah, this is a great day. Arizona Cardinals broke ground on their new training facility in North Phoenix. It's a good day.
That's a good location they got. Further up north, North Scottsdale there, they got a lot of land there. A lot of land there. I'm excited for that.
Yeah, there's supposedly going to be a big development around it with retail and some office space, maybe some residential. So, yeah, no, look, if they're going to get it done in 2 years, they're saying 2028 it should be done. That's a pretty short order. So they're going to have to get moving, going to have to get digging and get that thing cranking. But, the visuals of it that they've shown already look phenomenal.
Look beautiful. Were you when you were playing for the Cardinals? Was it the same facility that you had all the physical therapy and training and all those meetings? And was it the same building that's current today, or separate? Or
yeah. So when I came to the Arizona Cardinals, it was the facility that's in Tempe right now that they're currently still in. At that time, I thought it was cutting edge.
Yeah, right.
I mean, coming from the Raiders, especially when we were in L.A., we were meeting in construction trailers. And when I was with Detroit, we were meeting in the bowels of the Silverdome. That was awful. So, yeah, coming to Arizona, I was like, hey, this is all right. There's nothing wrong with this.
That's awesome. It's official now. LaFleur completed all of his hires for the 2026 Cardinals. Nathaniel Hackett being our OC. Nick Rollis coming back and being the defensive coordinator. I want to dive right into just talking about Rollis real quick. My initial thoughts, and I'm going to pass it over to you. My initial thoughts is that he has quite a bit, he has a lot to prove, I believe, since last year. Now, I know he's had some injuries on the defensive side, but not getting a new defensive coordinator is quite shocking to me, and I'm sure to a lot of fans as well.
Yeah, and I wonder how much of that was the influence of Jonathan Gannon with Matt LaFleur and Matt LaFleur with Michael LaFleur. I know that Jonathan Gannon and Nick Rollis are tight, right? And I know that Jonathan Gannon really thinks highly of Nick Rollis, and I think Michael Bidwell does as well, and so does Monty Ossenfort. So it was a little bit of a head scratcher for me, and I'm the more it sits and resonates with me, the more I can, I guess, accept it and understand it. But initially, my thoughts were, that this was a defense that was given so many assets, given so many players through the draft and free agency last offseason, and was really bulked up and built up and was supposed to be really the strong part of the team. And they did play some good football at times, but down the stretch, they just were awful. And it was bad, especially in that Rams game. And after the game, when Nick Rollis said, I didn't really like the game plan, that was a hard thing, I think, not only for me, but I think for most of the fan base to get over.
What does that mean, though? What does that mean?
It means I didn't like the game plan. Why would you have it as the game plan then going into the game? That's what that means. I mean, when you say I didn't like the game plan, that's an admission that you were going into the game with a suboptimal game plan, and that's to me that's not acceptable. That's the team deserves better, the players deserve better than that. But okay, so we got through that, and I think another thing leading to this hiring or rehiring of Nick Rollis is the fact that Mike LaFleur kind of came in late to this hire to become a head coach of the Arizona Cardinals, and a lot of the candidates were not available, and the ones that they were looking to interview and seeking out maybe just weren't interested and would rather stay with their current teams. So the potential client or candidate pool was shrinking. Mm-hmm. It was pretty small, right? And you did still have Nick Rollis in the building under contract. He is very popular with the players. I will say that. So I guess it begs the question: how much of last year's defense? Because the Arizona Cardinals defense under Nick Rollis, they were pretty good year prior with very limited resources. They were pretty good. But last year, with all the assets that they brought in, they weren't good. So how much of that hire, the retention of Nick Rollis was, taking into account the injuries that happened and taking into account the previous success that they had with that defense?
I was kind of curious because I was really curious about LaFleur being all in on, hey, we're going to put people in the best scenarios to be the best football player. I was expecting that to come with that new defensive coordinator, and then I get Rollis again. So what changes, it comes to my mind, what changes do Rollis is going to bring to the table? Is he going to keep guys in certain spots? Is he going to shift things around completely because that's what the head coach is really looking for? I mean, I don't know really what to expect there.
Well, Jonathan Gannon was a defensive coordinator with the Eagles. He was a defensive-minded head coach. How much of that Cardinals defense last season was the influence of Jonathan Gannon versus Nick Rollis's defense? So now maybe he's a little unencumbered. Maybe now he's got the handcuffs off. Maybe he's going to do some different things. I don't know. We can only hope, because the lack of a consistent pass rush, the soft zone play of the secondary, that's not a good recipe for a defense, and that's what they ran last year. It was the corners were just off in coverage and allowing these throws underneath, and you can't win football games with that. You can't just kind of play this soft zone defense and not have a consistent pass rush. So he's got to get that squared away. He's got to get that fixed, and we'll see what he can do in 2026.
Okay. Yeah. What's right around the corner is the NFL scouting combine, and I want to dive real deep into this. I want to mention you because you played in the NFL for 9 years.
Yes.
Okay. 4 years with the Raiders, then a year with Detroit, and then 4 years with the Arizona Cardinals. You retired in 2003, drafted in 94, first-round draft pick, 22nd overall. I just want to dive into your brain about the NFL Combine. Now, right before I do that, I just want to kind of list off some statistics I have from your Combine stats. I'm going to kind of shout you out here. Weighed in at 242, linebacker coming out of Michigan State. 3.93 short shuttle, or 5.10.5, however you want to call it. That was the record at the time for linebackers. I don't know if it's been broken now or not, but 3.93, that's you're moving there. You're putting out some speed there. 4.6 40-yard dash, 35-inch vertical, and then 225 bench press, 25 reps. Those are some pretty serious numbers there.
Yeah. What's interesting is coming out of Michigan State, I was thought to have been the best coverage linebacker in the upcoming draft. And that was really my calling card. That was what people had kind of, NFL scouts and personnel had said, the best coverage linebacker is Rob Fredrickson out of Michigan State. So I didn't want to have that moniker. I didn't want to have that kind of that be my calling card. I wanted to make sure that would-be teams that were going to draft me understood that I can also play against the run.
Sure.
I'm not just a in-space coverage linebacker. I can play the run. So what was very important, and my agent told me this as well, is when you weigh in at the combine, you have to be over 240 pounds. It's just something that has to happen.
Why?
Again, because 238 is a heck of a lot different than 242. It's just over 240 pounds is just, people think, okay, he's a bigger guy. He's a big guy.
Okay.
So I ate so much leading up to the combine because it was very hard for me to keep weight on.
Sure.
That I just ate so much, and once they weighed in, then I was just, it was a lot of relief that I got 242 pounds. But the combine itself in Indianapolis, for me, going back in time, going back to 1994, that was the most stressful time in my life, I think, because this is the biggest job interview you've ever had. You're going to be a football player. The NFL Combine in Indianapolis is the job interview of all job interviews, and the people interviewing you are at that time I think it was 30 teams, but 30 coaches, owners, general managers, scouts. Everybody who's anybody in the NFL is in Indianapolis for that week. And so it's very stressful. And when you get there, you have a little quick orientation. They give you your packet, and they give you your shirt to wear and shorts to wear. And I think you have some interviews that night with certain teams. They have their rooms set up, and you go room to room, and you have an interview. The next morning, you go in and you take some tests. Certain teams have these tests that you have to take. The Wonderlink test is one. That's for the NFL overall, but certain teams have their own individual tests. New York Giants famously do. I think the San Francisco 49ers did at that time. But these are like 500 question tests, and as you're going along these tests, there's psychological tests, I guess to figure out whether or not you're a serial killer or something, and it's like, have you ever thought of killing your mother? Questions
Seriously?
like that. Yeah, questions like that, and you'll read a question and it'll be like, how many times have you stolen something from a store?
Did every team give you this test?
This is not the Giants.
Okay.
I'm talking about the Giants, and a couple other teams do something similar.
Okay.
But the hard part is you'll answer a question, say question 37, and then again at question 428 is the same question but phrased a little differently, and you're trying to remember what you answered on question 37 to make sure you answer it the same way at way back here on this test or on this point in the test, and it kind of messes with your mind a little bit. It does, and I think Deion Sanders famously told the Giants when they wanted him to take that test. What did he say? He said something like, he said, "What pick are you?" And they said something like 14th, and they said, "Yeah, I'll be gone by then." And he threw the test in their face. He didn't take it. He didn't take the test. But I didn't have that luxury, right? I was hoping to be a first round draft pick, but there was nothing certain about it at that time. So,
did you know you were going to be a first round draft pick?
No, like I just said, it was uncertain. I didn't know at that time that I was going to be a first round draft pick. So, I took every test they gave me and did all that. So that's the first day that you're there. You do that, and then you go do the medical, right?
Okay.
In Indianapolis, you do the medical, and what that is they obviously get your medical history from your school, and you go to this medical center in Indianapolis, and you take all the tests, the MRIs, the CAT scans, X-rays, and every team doctor comes and visits you and does the same knee tests, test your shoulders and your hands, and they do every test imaginable by every team. You get poked and prodded and picked over, and that to me is so draining. And for any player, especially a player that has a injury history, they will spend the entire day with that player, making sure that somehow, some way, they can pass their individual team physicals. So that's the second day, and then the third day is the on-field stuff, which is what everybody watches on TV on the NFL Network and really likes. So you do both the speed and agility work and the bench press, and then you also do drill work out on the field. At that time in 1994, not many people really knew about the combine. Not many players had any knowledge of what specific drills they were going to be asked of. what specific, like outside of running the 40-yard dash, nobody knew what the short shuttle was all about, or we called it short shuttle. Now I guess it's 5, 10, 5. We had a long shuttle. I think they had a 3-cone drill. They had broad jump and vertical jump. But nobody really practiced those things back then. So my agent, who was out here in Phoenix, had access to this guy who trained NFL players and prepared them for the combine specifically. And I'd never heard of him, and his name is Warren Anderson. And so I go over to Warren Anderson's spot where he's working people out. And at first I was like, what the heck am I doing in here? It was like a little room, not much bigger than maybe a lobby of some place, and there's all these like old ladies laying on the tables getting ultrasound and getting worked on, and like it was a rehab center. And I'm like, what is he gonna do with me in here? And he starts doing these things on these machines and got bands everywhere. And I'm doing all this change of direction and all this stuff on this treadmill. And it's crazy workout, right? And about halfway through it, I felt like I was going to throw up. So I ran into the bathroom and I did throw up. And I'm laying there on the bathroom tile on the floor. And I said, I either need to work and train with this guy, or I never need to see him again.
Was this workout just you, or did you have other players?
There was other players there too. But I quickly assessed that, I need this. I need this type of training. And every day we did that workout, and then we went to this field house. It was somewhere down on Van Buren, and it was an old indoor soccer arena. Right, and indoor soccer was a big craze back in the 80s, maybe early 90s. And so we went to this indoor soccer arena, and we would work on the field drills specifically. And so I got really good at the short shuttle. I got really good at the 5, 10, 5, and those other drills. And we just worked those every day. Every day we worked those. And then at night I would go and lift weights and work on the bench press and do that. So I got good at the drills, and I was prepared for the combine. It was amazing when the group of linebackers would actually go out onto the field and go to the next drill. A lot of the guys were like, "What's this drill now? What are we doing?" And I was just like, "Man, you guys have no idea," which is fine for me.
Sure,
I'd rather them screw up and me get the good scores. So that turned out to be really positive for me. From as far as the combine is concerned, and I mean it's a long 3 days for these players, and they go in different shifts, like different based on position groups. You go at different times, but ultimately I think it's weird about the combine because it doesn't tell you how good of a football player a guy is, but it can tell you how good of an athlete a guy is, or how well prepared a guy is, how well he does in interviews. It can give you an idea as a general manager or a head coach, what kind of a person a player is, but it doesn't tell you one thing about a football player as a football player.
Yeah.
And I think that's where sometimes throughout history teams have kind of gotten it sideways, is they have put so much stock in the combine. Players have just put up numbers that have just blow your mind. They run a 4.2 or something, and they can't catch a football, but they draft him anyway in the first round, and it sometimes comes back to backfire, because the only thing that tells you how a guy plays football is turning on the tape and watching him. And I mean, that's all there is to it. But sometimes when there's maybe a little indecision or between the front office and the coaching staff, maybe there's some, I don't know about that guy, I like this guy better. Maybe the tiebreaker is the combine.
Man, I mean, now just a shot in the dark question, when you were training for the combine back in '94, were there any other players that you trained with that were at that same combine, or no?
Yeah. So I was training with there's probably 4 or 5 of us that were training for the combine specifically. Now, we may have played different positions, so we went to Indianapolis at different times. Mm-hmm. But yeah, there was probably 4 or 5 of us that were training with Warren Anderson.
Wow.
Yeah.
So that was cool. I'm sure that was cool in that same little environment. It's a short. You're saying not that big, nothing too fancy, but you guys are with this Warren character.
Yeah.
And you guys are just getting dialed in, getting prepared. I thrive off of preparation regarding performance, so I get super geeked out when I hear that. Hey, I'm preparing for the highest level of sport, but I don't have the Bugattis of equipment or facility to work with.
They all do now.
Oh,
right?
yeah,
right?
I know they do.
So every one of these guys that's going to the combine now, they all are going to these ultra high-end technology first workout facilities that they are fully prepared for the combine now.
Oh, for sure. Now, with that being said, kind of diving into Warren a little bit, because I this is where my mind goes. What type of character was he? What type of individual is Warren Anderson to put 5 guys into the NFL combine prepared and to put up numbers that I'm seeing here with the things he had?
Well, I'd like to think I had something to do with it, but
just a little.
Warren, he's a great friend to this day, and he's an interesting character. I think he got his start back in the '80s in Chicago when the USFL first came about. There was a team called the Chicago Blitz, I believe, and George Allen was the head coach. George Allen used to be the head coach of the Washington Redskins and I believe the Rams as well. But George Allen was the head coach of Chicago Blitz, and I guess Warren went in there one day. Security was lax back then, and it was USFL, so nobody was really keeping anything secure. It's not like they had security guards everywhere. So Warren walked in and somehow got into George Allen's office and said, "Hey, coach, I want to be your strength and conditioning coach." And George Allen said, "Yeah, well, we don't have any budget for that. This is USFL. This was not the NFL."
Right.
And Warren said, "That's all right. I'll work for free." George said, "You're hired." Okay. Well, Warren didn't have a penny to his name. He didn't have any place to stay. He didn't have a car. He didn't have anything. So he ended up sleeping in the locker room and training guys. And that's how Warren Anderson got his start. And from there, he moved around, but he ultimately landed in Phoenix, Arizona. He's here to this day. He still trains people, but every now and then I stop by to tell old stories with Warren.
I'm glad you took, Stone and This is my brother. I think we started training with Warren when we were, oh geez, what do you say, 10, 11 years old? I mean, and we worked with Warren every summer. I mean, at the time we were preparing for hockey, so hockey season. So he got us in an incredible shape for hockey season. And this guy, I mean, from my experience with Warren, he cared about work ethic, discipline, accountability, and you show up to work when you get called upon. I mean, the guy, his intensity was unmatched. So I have nothing but great things to say about Warren. Warren's my guy. I love him too. Back to the combine. I've been thinking about it. What do you think in the combine testing is their flaws? What are the specific tests that they run? Like the benching 225 thing. I think that's ridiculous because to your point, what you said earlier, it doesn't matter how a football player is about how many times he bench presses, right? It's about the tape that you put on and what he can provide. What do you think is the biggest flaw or flaws in the NFL Combine?
Yeah, so I think like for the bench press specifically, at least when I was going through it, there was this thought that if you're a linebacker or a lineman, offensive or defensive, or a tight end or fullback, one of the bigger guys, right? Mm-hmm. You needed to bench 225 over 20 times. So you get 19, you're weak. You know, if you get 20, okay, you're good. So that was like the mindset. Like I said, I had to get over 240 pounds. That was the mindset back then.
Got it.
So there's some of those preconceived notions and flaws that I think have been dispelled over the years. Players are smart, right? So when you do the vertical jump, they have this apparatus that goes up, and every half inch or whatever, it has these slats, and you tap the slats, and that indicates how high you jumped. Well, first you have to reach your hand up, mm-hmm. and that measures how tall you are with your hand extended, and then you jump up, and the difference is your vertical jump. Well, guys got smart, myself included. Instead of fully extending to get your initial measurement, you kind of preset your shoulder down a little bit.
Oh, that's great.
So you gain an inch or so by kind of hitting your shoulder back instead of fully extending it. And, just little tricks like that people teach you over the years that you can take into that. But I think, most of those scouts are pretty wise to them, and they're onto them, so they got it figured out. But again, the combine as a whole is a tool in evaluating players. It's not the be all end all. It's just one of the tools that teams use to evaluate the players. The number one tool, in my opinion, and it'll always be, it's what's on tape. What did you do throughout your college career on the field? That to me is the main guiding post for evaluating players.
Yeah, for sure. Well, then just being like overlooking that. After that, so after you're done with the combine weekend, what does an NFL player do?
Yeah, so after the combine, I came back to Arizona, and I continued to train with Warren for a while. Then I think I went back to Michigan and just waited for the draft. I went back to Michigan State and continued to work out at Michigan State, and then I watched the draft at home with my parents. Yeah, so there's some time between the combine and the draft. Roughly 30, 45 days. Mm-hmm. So you don't have a ton of time to, it's guys just staying in shape, getting ready, because shortly after the draft, there's mini camps. Mini camp will start right after the draft. So you don't have a lot of time to be going on vacations or screwing around.
Yeah. Well, if you made it this far in the video, make sure you like the video, subscribe to the channel, Seein Red podcast on YouTube. be sure to follow us on all of the Instagram, TikTok, all of those platforms to provide that daily content to you guys. And if you want to see more, turn on that bell for more notifications. And also, I do want to quite mention that we're going to start doing some Q&As here on the pod. So if you do have questions and you're watching this video now, shoot down some comments down below regarding questions for Pops or myself, and we'll be sure to answer those on the next video that we do. And we'll throw out more updates on Instagram and Twitter and such.
One question people might be having is, why are these guys standing up? And, in the first 3 videos, they were sitting, and now all of a sudden they're standing. I'll tell you why.
Go ahead.
I've had a lot of injuries in my life, right?
I believe it.
I got a titanium plate in my neck. I've had shoulder surgeries, knee surgeries, had my bladder removed, my prostate removed, had a bladder made out of my small intestines. I've had a lot going on in my life from an injury standpoint. But this sciatica that I got, wow. I mean, I remember I was playing with a guy, I think with the Raiders, and he had sciatica, and I'd never heard of that. I didn't know what that was, and I'm like, oh, well, I guess he's got a sore back or something.
Yeah.
No big deal, right? Man, it is a pain in the ass.
Yeah.
Literally, I mean, it's shooting from my ass down to my feet, and I cannot sit. I physically cannot sit. Driving is excruciating. So, yeah, I mean, I think the most painful injury I've ever had was when I dislocated my shoulder, posterior dislocated my shoulder down in Tampa Bay when I was playing for the Raiders. That was so bad they couldn't get it back in, so the doctors had to take off their belts and put one belt around my armpit and the other one around my elbow, and they pulled in opposite directions.
You have like 5 guys holding you down.
Yeah, they were holding me down on the X-ray table in Tampa Bay. That was the worst pain I've ever had. A lot of women say that childbirth is painful, but having a posterior dislocation is way more painful than childbirth. I'm sorry. I mean, I know a lot of women that say it's childbirth is painful, the worst thing ever, and yet they want to have 2 or 3 more. They want to do that 2 or 3 more times. I've never heard anyone say they wish they could posterior dislocate their shoulder 2 or 3 times. I mean, look, I love children, I love childbirth, I love all that, and I love my wife, but there's no pain like that. So, but sciatica's getting up there, man. It's not posterior dislocation, but it's. I got to get something done.
Well, I see you grinding at the gym. You're trying to really rebuild this thing. I see you. I mean, I love how you kind of just skim by the whole I got a titanium plate in my neck. Anywho, I had the sciatic.
Yeah.
What you broke your neck?
Yeah.
Basically?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it was against the Philadelphia Eagles. I was hitting a receiver. I was in coverage. I was hitting a receiver. I hit him in the back with my head because, I mean, that's how we were taught to tackle back then.
Crown first.
Lead with your head. So I hit him right in the numbers with my head, and one of my teammates was hitting him from the other side too. So it just kind of ting, and both my arms went numb, and that was it for that. So. I was okay. I walked off the field. I mean, I didn't need a stretcher or anything, but I couldn't feel my arms, and I couldn't lift 5 pounds.
Let alone your arm.
Yeah. So.
Okay.
Had to get a titanium plate put in my neck.
I think you would.
Yeah.
That's peachy.
We're all good now, you know.
Good. Well,
yeah.
Good. Oh my gosh.
Except the sciatica.
Yeah, the sciatica is just a problem.
It's a mess.
Oh my gosh. Kind of transition a little bit. I kind of want to talk about a little bit because we're talking about combine. Kind of mentioned the draft after the combine. The Cardinals have the number 3 overall draft pick this year.
Yeah.
And so I just kind of want to bring out my 2 cents on what we're doing with number 3, what Monty...
What do you want the Cardinals to do?
I want us to draft... Well, okay, hold on. Let me back up my thoughts. What I want from the draft from the Cardinals this year... At number 3, I want to draft an offensive lineman. Either that's Francis Mauigoa or that's Spencer Fano out of Utah. Now, I did see a clip on Twitter or X of Francis getting bull rushed by a outside linebacker from Michigan. That didn't surprise. I didn't like that too much, but that doesn't matter, right? We look at the film that he did.
Well, you don't win every rep.
I know you don't.
You can pick out plays where I got my ass ran over. I mean, it happens.
101's a guy. I mean, I don't really like that. And a guy in a 101. I mean, and he's half your size, and he bulldozes you.
Yeah.
No, I don't like that. I think that's soft, and I don't want anything to do with him. I don't care how well Miami did as a team. I know Miami's team did phenomenal, and they went all the way to the national championship. But when I look at Francis, I mean, that alone just tells me a lot. I'd rather take this guy, Spencer, out of Utah. I love the way he plays hard. I was watching a little bit of tape of him last night. But if we're not going to stay at 3, I'm comfortable moving down, right? I'm comfortable trading down, sticking with Jacoby or getting another quarterback. Well, Jacoby's got one more year. Cool, sticking with Jacoby. And then taking someone, mid-first round, again, another lineman. I mean, I love last year how Monty honed in on defense. If we can kind of keep the similar vibe, but in regards to interior linemen, that's what I hope for. That's what I want as a fan going into the draft. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, last year I was talking with Paul Calvisi and Craig Grialou, and I told them my draft philosophy last year, and it remains the same this year. And that is, if your hand's not in the dirt, I'm not drafting you. Okay? If you're not an O lineman or a D lineman, you ain't getting drafted. I'll throw edge guys in there. They can be a part of that too. But, if your hand's not in the grass, do not apply. I think this team is not in a position right now to be just big picture, just backing out a little bit. I'm hearing, I see on X a lot of talk about bringing in a quarterback, paying him $35 million a year, and Malik, and no, that's not what this team needs right now. What this team needs is to get better in the trenches.
Absolutely.
It needs to, on both sides of the football. We invested a lot of money and capital and draft picks in the defensive side of that equation last year, and it didn't really pan out, right? Now, look, I love Walt Nolan, but he's got to stay on the field.
He's got to stay healthy.
So I'm more than happy with the Cardinals going O-line or D-line. My preference, if I had my druthers, if I had that number 3 pick, I like this cat out of Miami, this Bain guy.
Mm-hmm.
Is that his name?
Well, we can look it up real quick.
The edge rusher. That's the guy I like.
Reuben Bain Jr.?
Yeah. That's the guy I like. I mean, he reminds me a lot of like James Harrison, okay?
6'3", 270 pounds.
Yeah,
defensive end.
He's just, maybe he's got a little short arms, but so did James Harrison, and he's got the same kind of animalistic instinct that James Harrison had. So I just like how he gets after the quarterback. So I would love him there. I think if you're drafting at number 3, you can't have a miss. And unfortunately, looking at the draft history of Monty Ossenfort and the Arizona Cardinals, there have been far too many first-round misses or not sure yets.
Yeah.
And when you're drafting as high as number 3, you can't draft a not sure yet, can't draft a miss.
Right. And I mean, I don't hate what he's been doing in the offseason. I like what he does with his offseason pickups. He sees the vision. I'm going to keep trusting Monty. I'm going to keep trusting his process. Let's see what he does with LaFleur. I don't know what he's going to be doing or what his thought process is at 3. I mean, this guy's got a lot on his plate. I mean, what are you going to do with Kyler? Okay. Please, for the sweet heavens, do not, and I mean do not, make a 1-to-1 trade with Miami. I don't want Mr. Concussion. Okay.
No, we're not
doing all that.
That's not happening.
If that happens, he's gone. Monty should be absolutely gone.
That's not going to happen.
So I sure hope not. But what is he going to do with Kyler? Okay. If he gets rid of Kyler, who's going to be taking his spot if it's not Jacoby?
Well, you have Jacoby under contract.
That's what I'm saying. If it's not Jacoby, for some odd reason, I don't know. The Cardinals do this all the time. Okay. We mess up things all the time. We're notorious for it. And then, if we do trade down, what are we going to do with that? So I don't know. I'm kind of anxious. I'm nervous.
I just think there's if you want to draft a quarterback for depth, there's some quarterbacks that will be available in the later rounds. The Penn State, the Allard, the Penn State kid, the Miami kid, Carson Beck. Some of these guys will be available. They're not ideal and not really who I would go with, but they're guys that you could, with the right development, you could potentially transition them and grow them into starting quarterbacks in this league. But I don't think the Cardinals need to go all in on a quarterback in free agency this year. I think the draft class next year is very strong. They should wait. They should just ride out this season with Jacoby Brissett, wait for that class next year to make their move and get them on a rookie deal. And so now you can build around that guy starting this year with the offensive and defensive lines.
Yeah. This is going to be a crazy offseason. Not just for the Cardinals, but for the whole NFL. There's a lot. I mean, Rodgers hasn't done anything yet. Again, we still don't know what Kyler's plan is and what team's going to be taking him. There's going to be a lot of moves happening in this offseason, and I just hope we're prepared for the season, ultimately. I mean, that's all I can say about it. I mean, I don't know how it's going to go. I don't know how it's going to turn out. I want to go to games, and I plan on going to games, at least two home games, maybe a third, depending on how the team does. But I like I said a couple episodes ago, I just want, ultimately, as a fan, to walk into State Farm Stadium and to know we're going to put some belt to ass. I want to know that we're going to go in there, and whoever's going to come into that stadium is going to get their work cut out for them.
Well, I think 2 years ago, Cardinal fans were okay with Jonathan Gannon and this football team because the effort was there every play of every game. And so you never heard the boo birds. You never heard this team getting booed because they knew they were understaffed. They knew the cupboards were bare in terms of just this roster and the talent level. But the effort was there. And you didn't see that consistently last year, and that's why I think Cardinal fans have kind of been a little disillusioned and not sure if they're going to remain Cardinal fans, not sure if they're going to remain a part of this and invest their money into this if the Cardinals are not going to reciprocate. And so more than anything, I want the team to be competitive every week. In terms of their effort.
Yes, most definitely.
That's to me, that's the one thing that the players can control. They can control their effort. They may not be the best player, and that's okay as long as the effort's there. That goes a long way with the fan base. So I think just big picture, looking at next year. Are we at the talent level of our NFC West rivals, Seattle Seahawks, LA Rams, San Francisco 49ers? No, we're not. We're not in the same circles as them in terms of the talent. We can get there, right? You have a good offseason. You make some adjustments to free up cap space. You release some guys. Maybe you bring them back later, a lot cheaper. But there's some things the Cardinals can do this offseason to free up some cap space, to go out and get guys in free agency, to not make mistakes in the draft, and to draft well, and to coach them up and develop these players. And you see it time and time again in this league. Teams can turn it around, and it doesn't take 3 or 4 years.
No,
it takes a season.
Look at New England.
Look at New England. Look at Jacksonville. There's numerous cases where teams have absolutely turned it around just by drafting smart and making smart free agency decisions and getting the right coaches around these players to teach them. Yeah. That's what coaches are. They're educators. They're teachers.
Yeah.
And so you got to spend the time. You got to put in the time, and you got to get these players up to the level that you would expect with an NFL team.
No doubt. Pops, other things we haven't covered. Any other thoughts?
I'm getting my epidural tomorrow. I'm pretty fired up about that.
Let's deal with this.
I'm pretty fired up about that.
Let's handle this.
Hopefully this sciatica is done because I'm tired of standing all day.
Yeah, I don't hate this standing thing, by the way. I like this standing setup.
I don't hate it either, but standing all day is rough.
That's tiring.
Yeah.
I don't have anything else to offer. So I mean, that sciatic thing, that's brutal. That's brutal. Guys, if you haven't yet already, make sure you like this video. Subscribe to the Seein Red podcast here on YouTube. Make sure you follow us on Instagram, TikTok, and X, of course. Make sure you guys drop down questions that you have for Pops and I down in the comment section below. And we'll see you in the next one.